What if the world's most powerful military decided, look, we'll equip a crucial ally, one right on the front lines, but we need our partners to pick up the tab? That isn't just some thought experiment. It's actually the striking new reality of how military aid is getting to Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a big shift.
For, well, over 3 years now, the United States has largely been the direct supplier, right? Sending defense provisions straight over.
That's been the model.
But a really profound shift is underway. We're seeing European allies, and Canada too, stepping up to finance the purchase of vital American-made weapons.
Including those critical Patriot missile systems.
Exactly. And it's all happening through a newly coordinated NATO initiative. This isn't just, moving numbers around on spreadsheets.
Yeah, it's much more strategic than that.
It feels like a strategic realignment, really designed to make sure Ukraine gets the critical equipment it needs faster than ever, right where it counts.
On the battlefield.
Yeah. And with Russia escalating its attacks and those awful civilian casualty numbers climbing, the speed and the type of these deliveries are just paramount.
Absolutely critical.
So what does this rebalancing of responsibility really tell us about how international support is evolving? And, what does it mean for the future of this conflict?
Today, we're diving deep into this really significant policy shift in military aid to Ukraine. We've pulled together a stack of recent reports, briefings, all fresh from early August 2025.
Just coming out now.
Right, and they detail these new NATO-coordinated initiatives, the specific pledges countries are making. Our mission here is to unpack this kind of innovative model of support, explore how it actually works, the mechanisms.
Yeah, nuts and bolts.
And really dig into the implications, not just for Ukraine, obviously, but for that whole web of international alliances going forward. All right, let's unpack this because it's a pretty fundamental change in how international aid works.
It really is.
At its core, this new approach means the United States keeps supplying Ukraine with weapons, crucial American weapons.
But the NATO allies, they're now largely expected to foot the bill for them. It's quite a pivot from the old model.
It truly is. And what's particularly insightful here is how directly this new framework seems to align with statements we've heard from President Trump.
Oh, okay.
He's been pretty explicit, saying, the U.S. would supply weapons, but with a clear expectation that European allies would cover the costs.
Right. We've heard that rhetoric.
Exactly. Though the precise mechanics weren't always laid out initially. But his administration has consistently underscored that European allies need to shoulder a greater share.
Take more responsibility.
For their own collective security and, well, by extension, for Ukraine's defense, too. So this new model isn't just like a philosophical thing. It's the practical implementation of that idea.
Putting it into action.
Yeah. And if we zoom out a bit, look at the bigger financial picture, it's fascinating because European countries have already been huge contributors.
That's a really important point.
As of June 2025, they provided something like $72 billion in military aid since the full-scale invasion began in February 2022.
Wow, $83 billion.
And that figure actually exceeds the $65 billion provided by the U.S. over that same period.
So Europe was already carrying a heavy load financially.
Absolutely. So this isn't necessarily a brand new burden for Europe in terms of scale, but it's more like a rechanneling of an already substantial commitment. It sets the stage for this, innovative financial arrangement.
That makes the shift even more compelling, doesn't it? So here's where it gets really interesting for me. How is this substantial change, this different way of funding and supplying, actually being coordinated?
Right, the logistics.
Because, historically, NATO as an organization mostly offered non-lethal stuff, uniforms, medical supplies, maybe fuel.
Yeah, support roles mainly.
But under the current U.S. administration, we seem to be seeing a clear intentional expansion of NATO's role, now directly involving coordinating and procuring lethal aid. How does an organization built for collective defense and non-lethal support suddenly become the main hub for buying and delivering weapons?
That's the absolute crux of it. NATO has stepped into a pretty unprecedented role here. They've explicitly introduced and are coordinating something called the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List.
PURL.
PURL, exactly. Think of PRL as like Ukraine's urgent battlefield shopping list, but it's curated and managed by NATO itself.
Okay.
And the critical mechanism for this, the engine driving it, is channeled through NATO's Support and Procurement Agency. You might hear it called NSPA.
NSPA.
NSPA isn't just, a buying agent. It acts as NATO's central logistics and procurement hub. What it does, basically, is allow multiple member states to pool their funds.
Pool the money.
To make bulk purchases of specific defense items. And this is a potential game changer because it can cut through all those lengthy bilateral contract negotiations, national parliamentary
And
approvals.
stuff that usually takes ages.
Exactly, the things that often slow down traditional aid deliveries. By using NATO's established framework and its long-standing relationships with major manufacturers, especially in the U.S.,
They can move faster.
NSPA can significantly speed up delivery. The plan, as we understand it, is for these aid packages, each valued around $500 million,
$500 million each time.
to be prepared rapidly
Yeah.
and issued on a regular, consistent basis.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Allied Commander Europe, Stacey Ernell, also plays a vital coordinating role here,
Overseeing it all.
overseeing the formation, the implementation of these deliveries, even extending to the really crucial repair and modernization of equipment that's already been sent to Ukraine. It's quite a sophisticated system designed for speed and scale.
Okay, so NSPA is like NATO's fast-track procurement platform now. But what does this sophisticated new model actually mean for the soldiers on the front lines, for the Ukrainian civilians who are just bearing the brunt of this awful conflict?
Yeah, the human impact.
What are Ukraine's most urgent needs right now, the absolute top priorities? And what specific equipment are we seeing head their way under this PURL scheme?
For Ukraine, the answer to most urgent need is, well, it's unequivocally air defense systems.
Air defense, still.
Still, and perhaps more than ever.
Yeah.
We're talking specifically about Patriot missile systems and, just as importantly, the munitions they fire.
Right, you need the interceptors.
Exactly. These are in just overwhelming demand because of Russia's relentless just pounding of urban areas, cities, towns, well behind the front line.
Horrific.
These attacks have tragically killed more than 12,000 Ukrainian civilians. So bolstering air defense isn't just military strategy. It's a desperate race to protect lives, protect critical infrastructure from these daily aerial bombardments.
Makes sense. What else?
Beyond air defense, other critical things include, well, vast quantities of ammunition, obviously, anti-tank weapons to counter Russian armored pushes, and essential spare parts.
Keeping the existing kit running.
Absolutely. You need to keep the equipment they already have operational. And it's also really crucial to highlight that Europe, despite its significant contributions, simply cannot make or deliver certain advanced American defense systems,
Like the Patriots.
like the Patriots and other specific things, in sufficient quantity or speed. So this makes continued U.S. supply, just facilitated differently through this European funding model, absolutely essential for Ukraine's defense.
That paints a very clear and frankly quite grim picture of the needs. So, given these priorities, given the need for speed, which countries are stepping up first? Who's leading the pledges under this new PURL initiative? Who's actually writing the first checks for these American systems?
Well, the Netherlands was remarkably quick off the mark. They formally committed to PURL, pledging a really significant 500 million euros.
Wow, 500 million euros.
Yeah, which translates to roughly 578 years, maybe 579 million US dollars.
A major commitment.
A huge first step. And following them, we saw a powerful collective pledge from the Nordics, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark.
Okay, the Scandinavians.
Together, they pledged around $486 million to $500 million. If you break that down, Sweden's contributing $275 million.
Okay.
Norway's providing approximately $135 to $146 million, somewhere in that range. And Denmark's adding about $90 million.
So substantial sums coming in quickly.
And crucially, these aren't just promises for later. These funds are being made available pretty much immediately to ensure Ukraine gets the equipment without those bureaucratic delays we talked about.
Good.
And it's not just cash. Germany is also committed to delivering 2 more Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine.
Sending the actual launchers.
Yes, and this move came after they got assurances from the U.S. that the U.S. would backfill Germany's own stocks.
Okay, so the U.S. replaces what Germany sends.
Right. Meaning Germany's own defense capabilities aren't weakened by donating the systems. And all these contributors, they're all stressing the same thing. Speed is absolutely critical. These deliveries need to make a tangible impact right now.
And this aid, it couldn't arrive at a more critical moment, could it? Let's broaden out a bit now, talk about the strategic impact, the current battlefield dynamics.
Sure.
We're seeing these pledges come through just as Russia seems to be trying to scale up its strikes again. What's the wider strategic picture, and how might this new aid flow influence it?
Absolutely. The timing is key. The military situation on the ground, well, it remains incredibly challenging. Let's be clear about that.
No easy fight.
Not at all. Russia continues to make slow progress, but it's costly progress for them along that huge 1,000-kilometer front line. They're pushing heavily in certain areas.
Like near Pokrovsk.
Exactly. Their current focus on the operation to take the eastern city of Pokrovsk is highly significant. Pokrovsk is a critical logistical hub for Ukraine.
Right, controlling supplies.
If it were to fall, it could potentially allow Russia to push deeper into Ukraine, creating serious strategic problems. So these new deliveries of weapons, equipment, they're truly vital.
Lifeline. Really?
President Zelensky himself has voiced, deep gratitude, saying this aid will definitely help protect the lives of our people, and it will unequivocally strengthen Ukraine's hand in deterring attacks and defending its territory.
So, shore up defenses, hold the line.
That's the immediate goal.
Yeah.
Shore up air defenses against those missile and drone attacks and provide the ammunition needed to hold the line against ground assaults. And if we sort of connect this to the wider U.S., Ukraine, Russia dynamics, there are a few interesting threads playing out right now.
Okay.
President Trump recently had what was described publicly as a productive phone call with President Zelensky. Apparently, they focused on ways to end the war, the impact of sanctions, and also accelerating drone production.
So high-level talks are still happening.
Suggest ongoing engagement on finding some kind of resolution, even as these aid mechanisms are shifting underneath. On the other side, we've seen reports, kind of intriguing reports, of Russian officials exploring a potential air truce offer to Trump.
An air truce, but not ending the war.
Exactly. Without ending the ground war. It's a fascinating proposition. Suggests maybe Russia's looking for specific tactical de-escalation in the air, perhaps, rather than a full ceasefire.
Complex signaling there.
Very complex. And then there's Russia viewing Trump's talk of tariffs as a neo-colonial agenda, which just highlights the deep economic and geopolitical tensions that are always simmering beneath the surface.
Right. It's not just about the battlefield.
Never just about the battlefield. And on a much more granular level, something Ukraine has flagged recently, finding Indian-made parts in drones used by Russian forces.
Wow, really? Indian parts?
Yeah. Which just underscores how complex these global supply chains are, how they continue to fuel the conflict, often in really unexpected ways, even as major powers try to control the flow of materials.
That's incredible. Shows how interconnected everything is.
All these factors just, underscore the multifaceted, constantly shifting nature of this conflict. Military aid is just one piece, albeit a critical one, of a very large and intricate puzzle.
So to try and bring this all together then, what we're really witnessing is a truly significant strategic pivot in how international support for Ukraine is structured.
Definitely a pivot.
It's moving clearly towards a shared financial burden for military support, but, and this is critical, it maintains Ukraine's access to that vital U.S.-made defense equipment.
Can't get that elsewhere in the needed quantities.
Exactly. And this new framework, it fundamentally expands NATO's role well beyond its traditional non-lethal aid function. It's becoming a central coordinator for legal assistance.
A new chapter for NATO, in a way.
Seems like it. But the overarching goal remains clear. Get urgent military assistance to Ukraine rapidly and regularly, especially those absolutely critical air defense systems that are quite literally protecting lives every single day.
Yeah. And this redefinition of defense responsibilities, this new model, it really raises an important question for you, our listener, to think about.
Okay.
How might this new approach, U.S. supplies European funds, how might that impact the long-term sustainability of support for Ukraine, especially if this conflict unfortunately drags on?
Good question.
And maybe even more broadly, what kind of precedents might this set for how international alliances manage future global crises? Could this shape how defense responsibilities are shared, how resources are pooled in other conflicts yet to come, far beyond Ukraine's borders? Something to consider.